Hey there, homeschool friends. This is Carrie with Any Day Blessings, and again, I'm outside. We've got birds, we've got trains, we've got a little bit of everything, but my kids are really being loud inside with their aunt, and so I had to come out here and share some things with you. So I hope that the outside noises are less distracting than what the inside noises would be, and you find this video helpful. On this channel, if you're new, I do cover pretty much all the different parts of our homeschool journey, picking curriculum, using it, showing you the curriculum choices that we have, flipping through and doing reviews, showing you how we schedule and plan it, showing you how we organize it and store it, a little bit of everything related to homeschool. If that interests you, I would love for you to go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button and stick around and come back for more videos. So in today's video, I kind of have something different. It's not really my normal sort of homeschool curriculum video, but it's sort of a little bit different take on the Heart of Dakota program. I don't talk about Heart of Dakota a whole lot anymore, but it is very near and dear to my heart. It is definitely what inspired me to take a more literature-based approach, to have the confidence as a homeschool parent to make things that fit for my son and for my daughter. And so I'm very, very grateful for Heart of Dakota for how they helped me grow as a homeschool mom. Today I will be just briefly talking about the bigger guide, is what we call it, Bigger Hearts for His Glory. And I'm still part of the homeschool mom, or the Heart of Dakota homeschool mom groups, because I really do love it. And I still reference the programs a lot. I still trust a lot of the recommendations that come from Heart of Dakota, so I'm not completely removed from it. I don't use the spines anymore. But in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how I think I'm using bigger all wrong, or maybe I'm doing it wrong, or I'm using it not how it was supposed to be used, because I'm actually taking it apart piece by piece and using it over a couple years. And I'm going to just share with you some ideas for doing that, not necessarily as the way to use Heart of Dakota, but just with any curriculum that you have that you don't like all of it, or it's not really what you would choose to use, but there are certain things that you really like about it, to just consider creating unit studies instead of taking this as a whole thick, all-in-one yearly program, to just consider picking out the parts that work for you. If all of it doesn't work for you, just pick out the parts that do and create unit studies. And that's what I've done, and I'm going to walk through with you a little bit today with the Heart of Dakota Bigger Guide. So, little backstory, I came to Heart of Dakota from a big box company where I just bought the whole curriculum kit for kindergarten, used it, and thought, man, I just feel like we're in school, and I really wanted this to have a different feel. And I found Heart of Dakota, and it was exactly what I was looking for. The lessons were short and simple. I knew exactly what I had to do. This was my absolute favorite part of Heart of Dakota. I'm just going to cover my face for a second. This 2-page spread, this is everything that you do and everything that you say with your child in a day. So it has like, let me give you an example for science, okay, because I'm going to be talking about their science. Down here is the science lesson. So it says, read one small square woods. Oh, I actually brought a different one with me, but read one small square woods, and then turn to the science experiment section in your notebook. Now say this, and it's actually in italics, and it tells you what to say. Now have your child write this in their notebook and answer the questions, and it just boom, boom, boom. But it's this big, you guys. I mean, it's like, it's not a whole teacher manual with several pages of instruction on how to teach a lesson. It's one little box. This just felt so approachable to me. So when I came to this, it was like a breath of fresh air. And it still is. I still really like it. The reason we're not all in with Heart of Dakota now, and the reason you don't see it much on my channel, is because my son did not take at all to this style of learning. He did not take to, I take that back. He took to the short lessons, he took to the hands-on activities. What he didn't take to was the literature-based approach to history, the particular books that they chose. The books that they chose had engaging stories but no pictures for what I thought to be a very young reading audience. They were very old stories, so there was some language in there that didn't really translate to a 7-year-old. And I appreciate wanting to expand their vocabulary, but some of these words just aren't even in modern conversation anymore. Some of these are, just dated. The words are not used. And so the history books, that's really what did us in with Heart of Dakota, was the history selections. He liked some of the science books, but they kind of gave the same feel to him, just like that really old and dry, no pictures kind of feel. And so we moved on, and that's when we found Knotgrass and fell in love, and we'll probably be there forever with history. But I did not want to leave Heart of Dakota. I did not want to walk away from this guide that had these little boxes, and that's all I had to do and all I had to plan. But the history is the spine of this program. Everything is based on it. It was so hard to just take out the history and do the other things. It didn't work. So I didn't get rid of it though. As you see, I still have it, and I decided to use it in a unit study approach. So here's what I did. Math in Heart of Dakota is Singapore math, and their math boxes here. This is why I love Heart of Dakota. Gives you this is your math lesson, and then here's the math assignment that you have your child do. So I just loved it. I loved doing these math lessons with my son. So this was my math teacher guide. This was all I used to teach math to my son when we did Singapore 2A. I want to give you another example of here. This was your math lesson. This is all you said. That's all you had to do, and then you give them the assignment. So I loved this for our math when we did Singapore 2A. This was my teacher guide. Similarly, I loved how they did the notebooking in science. And so they have here, I'm going to see if I can find where it does the seashore so I can show you an example of, I should have marked this. I'm really bad at marking things, you guys, so we're just going to pretend that this says seashore. But this is one of the books that's included in the Heart of Dakota science package, and this is, if you're not familiar with the One Small Square books, there's loads of them and they're all wonderful. We're actually doing One Small Square Backyard over the summer for our nature study this year, and my kids are loving it. So I highly recommend these books, even if you don't use them in the way that I'm showing you here. These books are terrific. So I'll show you inside real quick, because you're probably like, now we want to see this terrific book that you got. So these are so good, very colorful. But the drawings are great because they give like lots of detail. Like they'll zoom in and they'll show like more detail, and Heart of Dakota incorporates that into sketches in a science notebook and stuff. So like, for example, they'll say, here, let me go to an example where they have you do some notebooking. Okay, go to the top of this page, in the book, and copy the information at the top, and then turn to Psalm 119, or so turn to Psalm 19:1, and beneath that verse, draw a diagram draw the diagram from the book. And so they incorporate scripture and nature study together, or scripture and science together. And some of that is original thought, like they'll have the child come up with their own hypothesis if they're doing an experiment, or they'll have the child give their explanation of what the verse means, something like that. But then they do a lot of drawing from here, copying drawings and diagrams from here, labeling the drawings from here. And I like that approach because so much of what my son observes in nature, with the exception of plants, it's moving, right? You got animals that are moving, things like that. I'm sorry, I just got a weird message on my phone. And so the bugs are moving, the clouds are moving, and so he's trying to capture what he sees in nature, and sometimes it doesn't hold still long enough for him to capture it. And so the fact that they just want them to copy these drawings and then they encourage them to find it in nature as well, I really like that. I like that approach, that they can not be pressured to capture the drawing in real life because they have the drawing here. So I really like how they approach science notebooking. It's very doable, and we will be using this when we get to the study of sea creatures in our science of biology this year. Or if we don't do that this year, then when we get to our study of biomes and things like that next year, we'll do this. So I haven't quite decided where to put this in. I think it's going to go in our sea creature study in biology this fall, but I'll let you know for sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this as my teacher manual, and then this is our student text, and we're going to do a unit study on the seashore. So I love that this is set up in that format, so I can still pull out and use the parts that I love about Heart of Dakota in a unit study format. One other thing we're going to use this bigger guide for is Bible study. They have a little Bible study section in every daily lesson right here. Is their Bible study. This isn't really showing you very good. And in the bigger year, they're studying the book of Proverbs. And so they're going to study character traits and whatnot from the book of Proverbs. And then I've gone ahead, I've printed off a list of all the different verses that they're going to be studying, and I've cross-referenced that with other passages that give like a character study. So like when they talk about loyalty, we're going to read the study of Boaz, or Ruth and Boaz, and talk about loyalty. And so I like the simple way that they do a Bible study. It's not getting out like a whole bunch of books. It's basically just using the Bible, and I really like that. So I'm not opposed at all to devotionals and things like that. We use them in our home, and we use other Bible study books, but I just kind of like the idea of just opening up to Proverbs and studying a verse and then finding a passage that exemplifies through the life of another believer that character trait. So I am going to use the Bible study. I don't know when, again, if it's going to be this year or next year, but I'm going to pull that out as a unit study as well. The last thing that I kind of pull out from these guides that I love and would definitely use is the narration in the back. I'm not going to show it because everything that's in the appendix of the book is kind of considered proprietary to Heart of Dakota, so I'm not going to show it to you, but just know there's several pages of how to narrate, some tips for teaching the child to narrate, some tips for you as the instructor to bring that out of your child, things that you could say, prompts that you can use. And so this will really help us with working on our narration. So I love Heart of Dakota. I love how they set up the guides. I think they're super user-friendly to the homeschool parent. It's completely doable. Wish my son took to it. I hope my daughter takes to it a little bit more, and maybe we can use at least one or two of the guides at some point. I think maybe when we get to middle school, these will fit better for us, but that's how I'm using the bigger guide, pulling things out. I love how they do math, love how they do science, love how they do Bible time. History was just a major flop for us. So pulling these other things out that I love, treating them as unit studies or Bible studies to use independently is just how we're going to roll. So I get to do the material that I like in a way that fits our family. So hope this gives you some ideas and maybe a glimpse at how my brain works when I'm creating things to do for our kiddos here. If you have not yet picked up the One Square books, go get them and enjoy. You can use them without the Heart of Dakota guide. I will say there are in the book here along the side. These have some activity ideas and even some notebooking ideas. I just like that the Heart of Dakota guide gives all that notebooking suggestion for you and ties it to scripture. So since I already had the guide intending to use it as our spine, I'm going to go ahead and use it for a unit study on the seashore. So that wraps up this video. That's what I have for you today. Please go ahead and leave your comments down below, maybe how you use curriculum in ways that maybe it wasn't intended to be used, or maybe you've done something similar like this with the Heart of Dakota guides. I always love hearing your comments and feedback, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone.